How are you?
Very well, thank you. This is WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM. And we have with us at WZRD Kimberly Marshall. She is an activist for pedestrian safety, and she is also the mother of uh, Hoyle David uh, Mc, uh,
Marshall
Marshall. Sorry about that. Marshall,
the third.
yeah, who was uh, who was killed recently in January from a hit and run. Um, Welcome, Kimberly.
Welcome. Thank you for having me. Can you hear me?
Yes,
My
I
volume seems to be very low. I
oh,
can't.
yes, we hear you very well.
Okay, good, good, good. Um, I am currently babysitting, taking care of my son's infant daughter. She was
Natalia.
born
Natalia.
after he died. She was born in July, and a great surprise and a great blessing to our family. So I'm here taking care of her while her mom is still in the hospital. And yes, it's a miracle, and I'm so blessed to be able to have this baby after my son has left us. Yesterday was his birthday, and we celebrated his life.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, that's where we are right now. Do you have any questions about
I
for
do.
me?
Yes, of course. First of all, congratulations about the baby. But and
Thank you.
do you see a lot of your son, Hoyle David Marshall III, in Natalie?
The baby is his exact spitting image, and it's just really uncanny.
Mhm.
And it's like holding my son again, you
Mhm.
know, when he came home. Yes, and she's a beautiful. She's been named Angel. Angels are gifts and messengers from the God of our understanding. Some of us, and so we're just delighted and just very very grateful. I wish I could put the pictures up, but maybe another time.
Mhm.
Um, it's the most difficult pain that anyone can imagine, losing a child. We're not supposed to bury our children. The natural order of life suggests that they bury us. But unfortunately for me, Trey's my only child, and it didn't turn out that way. And I had to bury him. Um, the reason why he was taken from us so violently and so suddenly was because of a careless, reckless driver.
Mhm. A stolen car.
I've noticed. I'm,
It was
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
it was a stolen car, and then it was a torch
Correct.
to hide the evidence.
Yes. Yes. So this person was not only a cold-blooded uh, predator, if for lack of a better term, uh, he also or she also proved to have some savvy in that they're trying to destroy evidence, which means that when they fled the scene, they knew that my son was in grave danger, or that they had killed someone, they had taken a life. So in this society right now, the way that we live, to have people that imitate uh cop show rhetoric in real life to avoid responsibility for what they've done is truly, truly tragic. And it shows a larger problem in our community and in our society.
Well, I did see a news report that of the 35,000 hit and runs that the Chicago Police Department investigated, there were only about 95 that were closed. So that means usually they are not closed. And you were you served as a Chicago police officer. What insight do you
Yes.
on hit and runs?
Well, I've been retired for quite some time now, and things have progressed in a way that I don't want to officially say, because I'm not part of the department anymore. I'm retired, so I don't know what their new tactics and what things that they're doing to solve the issues. But I do know one thing that they have implemented since our new superintendent has come in, and they have what's called a family liaison unit in the detective division that actually reaches out and keeps in touch with crime victims' families. I am very proud to know Officer Scarlett Phelan, who is the liaison officer that is assigned to my son's case, and detective rather. They're both detectives. They're both detectives that are assigned to the family liaison unit of the detective division that reaches out to family members. So they have reached out to me. I also I've seen them at different resource fairs, because I do resource fairs also for community, different communities, and so that the people that live in the neighborhoods and the communities can be aware of the services that are out there for them. So yeah, I think we did 4 recess fairs since my son has been gone, and we'll just continue to do as many more as possible. So the wonderful thing about the family liaison office that I was speaking of is that it wasn't there when I was there, not in this capacity. The superintendent has established it, and there are detectives that give you their phone number. They have all the information about the case, and you can call and talk to them. Now, we did give the family liaison officer that's handling my case all the information. And my ex-husband, who is a retired deputy district chief on the Chicago Fire Department, is offering a $5,000 reward for information. So we know how that goes, right? We know how that goes.
If anybody does
There
have
was
if anybody does have a tip, whom should they contact? How should they contact? First, of course, they should contact the police, right? If they have a tip.
Exactly. They should contact the Chicago Police Department. They can also contact NBC reporter Regina Waldrop.
Could you spell her last name for me, please?
That would be WALD as in dog, DR as in Robert, UPT, I think.
Okay.
Well, not sure, but I think that's what Regina Waldrop, and she was the one that did the interview. She would be more than happy to carry any information that they might want to come forward with. Also, they could contact Mr. Mark Armstrong of the Chicago Urban Fine Arts Committee.
Yeah, Commonwealth.
Yeah. Chicago, yeah. So and if they wanted to get a message to me, they could also use that, go through Mr. Armstrong. But I would strongly suggest that anybody go to the Chicago police and say that, whatever it is that they think can help get justice and find the person that ran my child down and left him there. He actually left us at the scene when he got to the hospital. He was very difficult for me. He was pronounced dead at Christ, on arrival at Christ. So
was there any camera footage in the area? It was
yes.
a four-way intersection.
Well, he wasn't actually hit in that intersection at Halsted. He was hit at Union, which is a block from his home, Union and 95th Street. And there is footage. There was some footage when he actually was struck. I never watched it, but there was footage. And there was difficulty with the license plate, but it was, you know, they were able to bring it up. And that's how come they were able to find the vehicle that was torched in the south suburbs. So the driving offender struck my son as he was headed southbound in the intersection of Union and 95th Street. And then the car was going westbound towards Halsted. It made a right-hand turn, and then at 99th, it jumped on the expressway. When I saw it, I knew exactly where that car was headed to the 99th Street ramp to get away from the city. And that's exactly what they did. Now, there's also footage that shows 3 other people that were in the vehicle, and because the vehicle hit another car 1 block north on Low. And when it hit that car, 3 people jumped out and ran. So those people that jumped out, they know what happened and they know who was driving the car. And so we can only appeal to their sense of humanity and decency, that one day they will come forward and give information that will help get justice for my son.
Evidently, it was a stolen car. So not many, there's a likelihood that not many people know who was driving the car except for those 4 occupants. And
you know, the car was stolen that morning, that Saturday morning, almost 24 hours before my son was hit, and it was stolen from one of the airports.
Was there footage?
So
was there footage at the airport when the car was stolen, when it was broken into?
Pardon me?
Was there any footage at the airport of the break-in of the
Yes,
car and when it was stolen? So there should be a footage of the
exactly.
stealing the car.
That's what I understand. But one of the things that they do is that they will use the car for a little bit, car thieves, and then they'll give it to somebody else and they can go use it.
Well, then still the connection between
there still would be a connection, yes.
the handoff.
And that would be where the police would be able to. But you know, one of the things that we have to look at, and one of the things that we have to understand, is that our culture has been hijacked by this false sense of bravery, this no snitching, which is ridiculous because it only hurts the victims and the families. And if you know something, you should tell something. It's just the right thing to do. But there's a stigma or and it goes back 100 years. I ain't no rat. I'm not telling, you know, and it's a falsification, because I'm telling you, as a police officer, 99% of the people that get in there, once they're with the detectives, they tell everything. Not, you know, they do. So that culture, that thought, that has to go away, because none of these crimes are going to get solved unless we have cooperation from the community that is being plagued by this violence and people's consciousness. Now, I am going to speak about a pedestrian bill of rights that needs to be implemented, because I feel strongly that the police's inability to stop people because of COVID has kind of really changed the way people drive nowadays. They're quick to go around at a stop sign. They don't, so many people are running the red lights at intersections, busy intersections. And people just seem to be so much in a hurry that they don't have time for traffic safety rules and regulations. So I came up in a time, I'm 65 years old, and I remember the campaign to wear seatbelts. Believe it or not, most people did not want to wear seatbelts. They had to be made to wear seatbelts. They had to be fined if not wearing seatbelts. And the insurance company had to start denying claims if you weren't wearing your seatbelt. But that whole campaign started with an ad, with a public service announcement. And they had a little jingle, buckle up for safety. Buckle up for safety. Everybody buckle up. So with the pedestrian Bill of Rights, I suggest that we have some type of public service bombardment of social media, of radio, TV, anything that we can do to reach the public to make them stop and think about what they're doing when they get behind the wheel and to slow down. I know Mothers Against Mothers Against Drunk Drivers had a wonderful, they got together and they really, really worked hard. So the pedestrian Bill of Rights has to be on that level. It has to be something that grips people's attention, makes them think about what they're doing before they get behind that wheel, and let them know that there's consequences. You might be in a hurry, but if you just gotta slow down.
Did you ask any of Trace's fellow competitors in the hip hop community? Maybe they could come up with a jingle. Everybody's you have a lot of talented people over there. But of course, after that composition, Trace was the most talented of all. But there are people there that might be able to help you with that message with hip hop.
That is an excellent suggestion. And thank you. And I am going to take that under advisement, and I will speak to them because they are very much involved and they are very, very, their community was greatly hurt by my son's passing. And it's evident in all of they call me, they include me. He's had countless tributes, and constantly they are giving homage to his efforts and his contribution. Mr. Mark Armstrong has been one of our biggest champions, and he has spearheaded the effort for the resolution in Cook County and the resolution with the city. And he has recognized my son's contribution, which just takes my heart and melts it. And put together a new committee for the Cook County Hip Hop Olympics 2025 with Miss Flora Copel, who is the mother of Parker Lee, P. Lee, who is the inspiration for the Cook County Hip Hop Olympics, underground hip hop artist in the 80s and early 90s, and a wonderful, wonderful contributor to Chicago hip hop. So myself, Mark has invited Parker Lee's mother, Miss Koppel, and myself to be on the committee to get that Cook County Hip Hop 2025 Olympics started and going. And we're looking forward to working together on that. Miss Koppel has been invaluable to me, a source of support. Both of us having sons and being in grief, and it's just been wonderful.
There was a birthday celebration for Trace yesterday at the Subterranean Lounge, and at that time in the morning, Mark informed me that there was one of the artists there that was also the victim of a hit and run, and then he survived. So
yes.
it's could you tell us a little bit more about that if you can?
You know what? I don't have his, hang on one second. I'm going to go and pull that up while I am the artist, the hip hop artist is actually a brother of one of Trey's really close hip hop. Hang on one second. Let me get here and I'll find it.
Annihilation.
Annihilation.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Okay, so let's go here. And her brother, her brother's name is Muhammad. He was in a hit and run accident after his birthday, which I think was like 2 days ago. And she found some footage on TikTok, and his name is his hip hop name is Bro Mo City, and he is still with us, and we are very, very grateful that and hopefully he will get justice also. So yes, her name is Anya, Anya, Elation, Ahlation. And we're sending her a lot of love and love to her brother. And we're very grateful that he survived. Very, very grateful. Mark also did a wonderful article about Bro Mo City. And this happened, and he said it was ironic because it happened right before the celebration for my son. And actually, we did on the 13th, they did something, August 13th, they did something at Subterranean. But yesterday was at his burial site in a beautiful Cedar Park cemetery on 124th and Hosted. It has deer and pheasant and ducks that roam through there. It's a beautiful, beautiful resting place in the heart of a big city. Actually, it's in Calumet City, but technically, Chicago too. So it was beautiful, and his daughter was there. His new baby was there.
You do know that there's the Crime Victims Compensation Act, and then for the young mother that now is left to raise the baby alone, that money might be able to help her with maybe reimburse some of the funeral costs, and then also help her as she raises the baby.
Yes, well, the Crime Victims Compensation, I have the application here in my hand. It's the State of Illinois Attorney General and the State of Illinois Court of Claims. And it does touch, and that was from the Family Liaison Office of the Chicago Police Department that provided us with that information. And also they have a list of who is eligible and who is not to apply for the Crime Victims Compensation. So yes, Tiffany and baby Angel are definitely eligible, and we're going to get that application in and make sure that they get the help. I think
so is whoever helped with the funeral costs as well. If you paid for the funeral costs, you might be eligible to get reimbursement.
Yes, thank you so very much. Yes, the funeral costs have been reimbursed. They have already been reimbursed. Yes. So that's wonderful. That's a really, really wonderful thing. But we can't measure the amount of wages that my son would have made in his lifetime because we have no way of knowing. So whatever compensation that they can provide for his daughter, he has two daughters. He has one that is 11 years old, and he has one that's brand new.
Oh, so Natalie is the 11-year-old then.
Natalie is the 11-year-old, and Angel is the newborn. She's 2 months old on the 9th of July. I mean August. She was born on July, August, September. So the 9th of September made her 2 months. I'm sorry. I got it now. Yeah, she's 2 months old.
It seems as if there's an outbreak of gun violence. Now that we know that, you know, in your neighborhood along and the people that you associate with, you see hit and runs everywhere. Do you, as you talk with the people in your community, and as you move to forward the pedestrian bill of rights, do you have insight about how the hit and runs and these pedestrian accidents and hit and runs have increased over the years?
Well, the only insight, like I said, that I really truly believe is that COVID, because it really was unsafe for police officers to stop traffic, to do traffic stops. When everything was shut down because of COVID, people still did go to work and they did travel and they did do that. But there were no police that they would see that would stop them for speeding or stop signs or traffic lights or any of the other myriad of traffic violations. So people kind of got used to that. They got used to it. It was almost 2 years that, you know, and all the ticket writing and all of that came to an absolute standstill for safety purposes, not only for the officers, but for the citizens. And so it might not be like a, you know, a overt thing that, oh, you know, they're not stopping people. People noticed. And so the driving became more and more reckless. 79th and Stony Island is an intersection that has been deemed one of the worst intersections in the country. They have they have 4 to 6 lights. They got South Chicago, they got Stony Island, they got 79th Street, and 2 of those streets are on a slant. They're angle streets. So you can go, not only can you go down 79th Street, but you can also go down South Chicago, and then it's covered by the Skyway entrance. So the lights are very convoluted there. It's difficult. And for many, many years, that intersection caused more deaths than any other in the tri-state area. It got a lot better. But since COVID's been over and the driving has come back, I see people actually running the red lights at 79th and Stony Island. I've seen it. I've seen it. And that is just about the most bizarre thing that I can imagine. I guess they don't know, the people that are doing that, or they don't care. They're in such a hurry. But we just have to become more conscious. We just have to become more aware. We have to think about something other than ourselves.
Did you retire?
And we have to really slow down.
Did you retire before COVID? Before COVID hit?
Pardon me?
Did you retire as a Chicago police officer before COVID?
In 2010. I retired in 2010. Yeah, way before COVID. I did 20 years and out. I came in 1990 when my baby was 2 years old. And so I for a lot of women, we kind of do 20, 25 years. You know, men, they go on, they'll do the 20, 30, 40, according to, you know, how young they are. They come on the job younger too. See, I came on the job and I was almost 30. So when you have 50 and 20 years, you have, you know, they offer you the retirement. So just get on out.
Were you in touch with any of the working police officers that were you know, that were active during COVID? Do you know if there was a directive in the department encouraging officers to not make traffic stops?
No, see, that's what I'm saying. I don't have any official information from the department. It's just something that I noticed. And I'm sure that I don't know if they had a directive or a general order regarding the stopping during COVID. I know that the officers were very cautious and that a lot less cars were stopped because of the danger. The city didn't want to put people in danger and put the officers in danger. So I don't know about the rest, but I know about traffic it really slowed down on the stopping.
Do you have any insight about cars being stolen? Are those figures going up? Do you have any insight? I know
No, I have no information on that. I cannot speak for that. You know, I'm only speaking of my personal experience and what happened with my son. And, you know, anything that I say about, you know, the department is nothing official. It's just my experience as a police officer. And I haven't been a police officer for quite some time. So, you know, I don't have that.
Well, the next question is that, you know, while you were a police officer, did you notice whether when those cases are closed, when they're able to find a perpetrator, what was the percentage between people of color victims that had their cases resolved and those of non-people of color having their cases closed? Do you have any insight on that while you were working as a Chicago police officer? And if you're uncomfortable about speaking about it, that's fine too.
I can tell you this. There had been a lull in closing rates with the department that I knew about. All I can say is that it takes, you know, closing a case, that's the detective division. I was a preliminary officer. I came on the scene, I made the case report, and I would pass it to the detective division. So the detective divisions are the one that actually closes the cases. And statistically, you can look up the statistics from 1990 to 2000, 2010, and you can see where at times they had some really low rates of closing cases, and at other times it got a little bit better. The thing about closing in the case is that you have to have the proof and do the things that the investigation that takes to get the person arrested and then actually convicted. And one of those things, and I'm not blaming anyone, one of those things that we need is evidence and information from victims and witnesses. And in a time when the police are painted as villains, thugs, punks, murderers, you know, out of control. That was the time when I was the police, Rodney King and some other things. But I did not see, when I was a police officer, I did not see the police shoot unarmed citizens at the alarming rate that they were. So it takes both. It takes community and it takes police. And we have to take a real big look at how much we want justice to be served. Because you cannot have it both ways. You cannot hate the police and say we want justice when you are leaning on the police to get that justice for you. So what do we do? How do we solve that? What are the things that need to be done so that the police and the citizens that they're supposed to be protecting feel the safety that they're supposed to be providing? I was never taught to shoot a person that didn't have a weapon in their hand as a police officer. They told me in the academy that was totally unjustifiable. I don't care if the guy was beating you to death with his fist. You can take a billy club and hit him, but you can't shoot him because there was a use of force model, which means that I can escalate it. If you're using my hand, I can use your hand, I can use my bully club. If you're using something in your hand, then I can use my gun. But unarmed citizens, sitting on their necks, cutting off their breathing, killing them when they told you that they had a gun and they have a permit. These things make the public very, very, very angry and hurt. So let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. How many non-melanated or people of color during this time where the police were shooting unarmed citizens, did you see a non-Black person get killed by the police? How many of those cases can you think of?
That is why I asked you the previous question, because I noticed that when people of melanated race and if they are victims, they do not get the like a widespread alert concerning their case. And then when people are victims, as you say, I have not seen any that were non-melanated that were victims of police brutality. That is why I asked you the question that I did about how are the police handling these cases, such as hit and runs. How are they handling the cases that involve melanated people versus the cases that where the non-melanated people are the victims? And if I know you don't have the information, the statistics at your fingertips, and you have been retired, but do you know of any groups or organizations that are working to bridge this gap, where the police ask for the community's help, but then they really do not really follow up, because it seems as if non-melanated people are getting more attention than the melanated people?
Well, you know, that has been an issue and a problem in our society from a long, long time. And when you have a group of people that feel that by chance or accident of birth, somehow they are more deserving of respect and caring than others, you have a problem in your society. So, and that would go with the police also. I was born in 1959, and I can remember when I was a little kid, I didn't see Black officers, and I saw some, but I certainly didn't see any female Black officers. So we have come a long way as far as representation is concerned, but you have to remember there's a mentality with law enforcement. American law enforcement traces back to what is called the slave catchers. And so that in itself gives you an idea of who the villains are in the officers' minds and who they are. So we must remember that there is a systemic inherent part of our system that has to be restructured. And everyone has to cooperate in that. I watched this TV show on Netflix called Warrior. And it is about the Chinese that came to America in the 1800s to build the railroads, and how we got our Chinatowns and where they sprang from and what those people had to endure. And it was exactly the same as what the captured Africans had to endure. Because when they brought in, and this is what I'm learning and understanding, they used the Chinese as slave labor. And they forced them into these towns or ghettos, and they were kept captive there, just like our African American ghettos. And in the 1800s, our Jewish ghettos, which is where the word ghetto comes from, the Jewish tenements in New York. So
how were you treated as a police officer while you were working in those 20 years? You were a female and you were Black.
And very short. I'm not 5 feet tall. Well, you know, I have my police officer friends that love me, and I have some that didn't. I was treated just like anybody else. In the academy, I got a little bit more of tension in a negative way because I was short and I was Black and I was female. And I guess, you know, under those circumstances, you kind of have to prove yourself. And I was able to do that. I was also older than the average recruit. I was 28. And I was married to a fireman, and I had a little baby at home. So overall, I had a great academy experience. But my police department experience, not so good in the end. But, you know, other circumstances factored. The police are like any other thing, you know, it's a club, right? Right. You know, it's a good old boys club, and then blah, blah, blah. And, you know, you get in where you fit in. If you don't fit in with those guys, then you go and fit in with someone else. I've never saw anybody do anything that would physically hurt me. I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen police officers do that to each other. Not that it doesn't happen, but pretty much we want to do those 8 hours and go home to our families. But we want to do a good job too. Some people are more motivated, and others just trying to find a way to do some good and go home, you know, and get out of the situation. I've had 2 very life-threatening incidents, which gave me a lot of pause as to why I would be the police. But I still, you know, I survived them. And I'm grateful and glad. I had a very good experience, and I'm proud of what I did.
If you didn't have that less than favorable experience at the end, would you have retired so early, or could you have stayed?
No, I didn't want. No, I was. Wow. No, I was ready. I was waiting on a contract for them to give us 3/4 at 25 years instead of 30 years. But after 20 years, I was no, I was really ready. That contract didn't come, and I'm like, okay, you know. So yeah, but I believe now they do have the 25 years instead of the 30. I'm not sure, but I think I did read that.
Were you burnt out at the end? And what caused you to be burnt out, if you're able to discuss that?
No, it wasn't about being burned out. It was about being, this was the time. When I always wanted to, I was back in school, and I always, it's been my goal to open up a mental health facility. See, after I left law enforcement, I went on what I call the other side of the badge, because I realized that at least 80% of the residual criminals that I came in contact with, there was some mental health issues, some background mental health stuff going on with them. Even if it was just coming from a drug and alcohol involved home. And it began to occur to me that the biggest, largest problem that is looming in our society today, we're in an epic mental health crisis. I also believe, because I went back to school, got a degree in psychology, and I work as a counselor now, that extreme racism is a form of mental illness. Dr. Alvin Poisson pointed that out. And the American Psychiatric Association told him, no, you can't say that because it's so common. So we can't tell people, as common as racism and prejudice is in this world, that they have a mental health issue. But boy, oh boy, can we see the end results of it now. What kind of person that doesn't have a mental health issue walks into a school or walks into somewhere and begins shooting with a weapon of war because they're angry and they're mad and they hate these people, these race hate crimes? That's not a normal thing. And there is such a thing as being criminally insane. So I'm not trying to give them a escape. I'm not trying to say, oh, you know, they need to, no, they can go to jail. They're for the criminal insanity acts. But what we have to realize is that people need to be retaught. They need to be retrained.
When you now you have more insight on how mental illness pervades society and how racism you know it is a mental health issue. However, it's if you're going to address it at a systemic level, that is pretty hard because it is racism that is causing all these inequalities that perpetuates poverty and incarceration. And if that systemic racism and segregation and withholding of opportunities does not change, then all these mental health issues will remain. You could address the issue one person at a time, but if the people who are in charge of resources do not actually apply those resources to change society so that there is not that systemic racism that segregates people and that withholds opportunity, then there is not going to be any change. What do you think about that?
I think that your point is excellent. I think that you are absolutely I agree with you 100%. But what I do know, and what I say all of the time through my learning and growing in mental health field, everything is treatable. Everything, even their extreme mental racism and prejudice, it's treatable. And if we cannot reach them, we have to reach the people that are being affected by it. We have to do something. We just can't say, well, this system is, ensconced and it's going to be there and it's never going to change. And, what are we going to do? Well, if we can't change that, then we have to change the people that are affected by it. And we have to do that in positive ways that empower them and give them the things that they need. The social change that comes from owning your own home, from having a livable job, from being able to take your kids and put them in a good school, to be able to know that in the end, after all of your work, you will have some help from the government that you've been supporting with Social Security. See, these issues that are on the block right now as we go to the polls in November. We have one party that has told us unequivocally that we're going to cut Social Security. We're going to take away your safety nets. We're going to do all of this, and we're going to take it and we're going to give it to the 1%, because after all, they're the ones that are upholding this country, and they're the ones that deserve it. They're the millionaires and the billionaires, and America would be nothing without them. This is what they want you to believe. And somehow they promise in the air, like Ronald Reagan, once they do all this, then the money's going to come down like gold. It's all going to trickle back to you. It's going to go full circle. Well, we've been waiting for trickle down for 50 years now. So it's what? A con. We're being gaslighted. It's a lie. And anybody that signs up with that on the belief that, oh no, they're going to take care of me, it's those other ones that got to go fish because I don't want to pay these taxes anymore. They're buying into it and they're going to sink just like the rest of us. Anybody read Mein Kampf? Anybody ever read Mein Kampf?
Hitler's
Everybody ever read The Final Solution? Anybody have any idea? Have we seen anything like this before? Not just in Germany, Pol Pot. We could go on and on and on, because these are the way that power is taken from the masses and served to the higher upper echelon. And in America, it's because of money. It used to be, well, you know, you were kings and queens, right? In Europe, and even in Africa, all of it. You had these people that were ordained by God, that were better than everybody else, and we served the king. It's the same mentality. It's the same thing, because people that are power driven are greedy.
Do you think?
They're greedy.
Do you think if people were less greedy and then they would take care of society better? Do you think that would?
Well, you know, human nature is funny. Human nature is funny. Greed is very much a part of human nature, right? We do have greed, but we also have giving, and we also have, you know, everything balances. It's when it's out of balance where the catastrophe comes in, because we could balance people's greed. You know, if you make over $10 million a year, then you have to make you know, you got to give a certain amount of that back, right? But they don't even want that. They don't even want that. So, and that's when that struggle happens, what happens? The people rise up, right? And then it's supposed to be a change. In America, the two-party system offers no real change, no real relief. The Democrats are just as bad as their counterpart, which means that they fail just as much in certain areas as the Republicans do. So where's your solution?
Yeah, for the pedestrian Bill of Rights, as you are trying to get this enacted, and in the context of all that we have been discussing about the status quo and how it seems as if the special interests are not interested in actually protecting the people and are more in protecting their wealth. How do you think that what is your plan to get that pedestrian Bill of Rights enacted under these circumstances in this political situation that has existed for a long time?
I grew up with a group called the Black Panthers when I was a little girl, and they believed in power to the people. You take it right to the people. You get the people involved. You show the people what it could be like, what it's like now, and what we need to do. We have a program called WIC, Women, Infants, and Children, that exists because of the Black Panthers when they made pancakes in California for preschoolers. We got a vice president that people are a candidate for vice president that people are calling a radical because he made sure.
I think that we got disconnected. Try to reconnect. Yeah. What were you saying? We got either buffered or disconnected. You were starting with a candidate for vice president.
The kids in his state had breakfast and lunch at school.
Kimberly, let's back up a little bit. I think we got buffered and we lost some of your audio. Let's start back with what you were saying about we have a candidate for vice president and then continue from there.
Okay. What I was saying was we have a candidate for vice president who is being called a left-wing radical because he made sure that his kids in the school system had breakfast and lunch. So, you know, let's be radical. You know, let's move to make sure that people have value in themselves, and then in the value that they see, and not really want to do something so reckless as run these stop signs, run these lights, and kill people. We have to get it down, not up. And we do that by appealing to everyone's humanity,
By
because as callous as
also by
people can be.
also by leading by example, like
Exactly. Definitely. Leading by example.
like the candidate.
And that, and I think that's an excellent tagline also, because people are in such a hurry. And they, you know, I got to pick the kids up from school. I got to, and they act as if none of these laws, or why are these enacted? For safety purposes, right? So we can't continue to throw safety out the window while people are being maimed, killed, hurt, run over, broken bones and legs. My son, ironically, my son was hit before, 8 months before, crossing the street at 79th and Cottage Grove. He was hit by a car.
And
no damage. He was fine. He, you know, came out of the hospital, and this, and then this time he's killed.
Can you read us your pedestrian bill of rights if you have it at hand?
No, I don't have it. I have 5 points, but I don't have it all. I'm working on it because I have to present it on Wednesday. So I don't want to start reading it and, you know, until I have it all. It's quick. It's not anything, you know, earth shattering, you know. Think before you drive. Think about the other person. Know the regulation. Know where you're going and where you're supposed to be. Follow, look, slow down, see the light. You know when the light is approaching. When you're approaching a stale yellow. Don't speed up, slow down. You know, pull over for ambulances and fire, you know, just basic rules that need to be reiterated over and over. And like you said, with a catchy little jingle, so that people will take notice of their own behavior while behind the wheel.
Where are you presenting?
City Council.
At what time? And
that would be Wednesday at 10 a.m.
Okay. Is it to any committee?
It is to, yeah. I think it's a general city council meeting. That's where they're doing the traffic and safety, though. That's on Tuesday. But I think Wednesday is the general city council meeting, and I've already addressed the Tuesday, the traffic and safety committee on a Tuesday. That was a couple months ago.
Oh, okay. Do you, if you can send us the date for that so that we could look at it and maybe share that on the YouTube video of this interview.
Well, that would be lovely. Thank you so much. I will do that. And what's the email?
The email would be the email that I sent you for.
Okay, yeah, just send it back to that one. I got you. Okay, just yeah, I will do that. Yes, thank you so much. So once I type it all out, and I'll send you the information. It's Tuesday. I'm sorry, apologize. It's Wednesday, the 18th of September at City Hall. I think it's 121 North LaSalle at 10 a.m. And that's when I will be presenting the first draft of the pedestrian Bill of Rights, and accepting the resolution from Alderman Ronnie Mosley that's honoring my son and his contribution to underground hip hop.
Is Alderman
Chicago.
Is Alderman Ronnie Mosley also your contact person, who is supporting your pedestrian Bill of Rights?
He is also, but Mark Armstrong is the person that has put me in touch with Ronnie Mosley, and he is actually been the contact person from the Alderman's office.
Hmm.
And I will also you know, see him and extend a thank you and actually hand him the Bill of Rights, the copy of the pedestrian Bill of Rights that I'm working on.
And
The first draft.
Mhm. And you're working on this draft alone, or do you have somebody working with you?
Well, actually, I'm kind of working on it alone. I haven't asked for much input, especially on the first draft, because you know, people can kind of sidetrack you. I just want to go and put my points across, and then it can always open up. It can always change. It can get bigger, it can get smaller, but you know, it's a work in act. I mean, it's a action that we're working on. So, yeah. So
Kimberly,
I would love any input and suggestions. So I'm not close to people's thoughts about what it should look like for a Bill of Rights for pedestrians in this city.
well, Kimberly Marshall, if our listeners want to learn more about your work and add input to the pedestrian Bill of Rights, where should they go?
I'm on Facebook, Kimberly Marshall
What is
on
your
Facebook.
what is your profile like in case there is another or Kimberly Marshall?
Right now there's a picture of, if they see pictures of a baby or a hip hop artist, that's me. And I also have an organization called Mothers Against Gun and Gang Violence. And that also has a Facebook page. So they can reach me at Magv, that's MAGGV, and they can reach me at Kimberly Marshall Facebook.
Well, also send us that later as well in your email. Everything.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kimberly Marshall, activist for pedestrian safety, mother of Hoyle David Marshall III, who was tragically killed in a hit and run. Thank you so much for joining us on WZRD, and much luck to you. Hopefully, the pedestrian Bill of Rights will come into fruition, and we will have fewer parents that will have to deal with what you are going through.
I want to thank you for having me on. It's been a lovely, enlightening conversation. You have been very helpful and given me some thoughts and ideas, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen to my story.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kimberly. Thank you.
Now you said this is recorded?
Yeah, this is recorded, so it will be on YouTube maybe within a day.
Thank you so much.
And we will send you
Thank
the
you
link.
so very, very much. I want you to have a most lovely day, and it's been my pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.